what's your take on the tech sector? Is the enthusiasm warranted?
Well, I think first off, when we look at the tech sector or what we call them, the wakeful eight that are driving all the returns on the S&P 500, they're not homogeneous. I mean, they are, or they have individual characteristics and are different. And we characterize it this way. Apple, is it a tech company or is it a company that sells accessible luxury items? Microsoft is a commercial software provider. Now, Alphabet and Meta effectively are advertising platforms. So you can't lump them all into the same basket of technology. But that said, there are very attractive features to each of these companies. And with the implementation of AI into their businesses, well, it just gets more attractive the further down the road that you look. So, in part, is it euphoria? Well, yes, I think we have very narrow breadth to this market. There's a lot of money chasing very, very few names, but there are also good reasons why these companies are benefiting.
Yeah, I wanted to get your take on and what perhaps is driving the prices higher, because I know a lot of these tech companies, clean their balance sheet up, and I think they're probably, I'm assuming they're getting rewarded partly for that. How much do you think it's that versus the artificial intelligence, which seems to be in headlines every day?
Well, I actually think it's a basket of a number of different things. So you mentioned cleaning up of their balance sheets. Yes, that Meta would fall into that category. But in general, think of what's happened just in the last few months. We've had some banking challenges in the United States. We've had credit conditions tightening up. And these are companies that don't need to go to the banks for financing. They are well financed. They have an abundance of cash. And so they're actually, when you consider any potential downfall coming from the US banking sector, these companies are the safe haven because they're unlikely to be impacted by it at all. Then you fold in the recent developments with AI and ChatGPT, and this opens up a whole world of potential. Is there some hot money chasing these names? Yes, potentially. I think so, given the valuations that they're at the upper end of what we would call fair value. But again, it's not just any one thing that I think that's driving these companies higher. I think there's a number of attractive attributes that each of them carry.
Phil, what is your thoughts on artificial intelligence? How do you think this is going to impact the sector?
Well, I think in the past, when we talk about certain companies and these companies being disruptive or disruptive technologies, they're disruptive in the way that we operate on a day-to-day basis. Amazon was this way back when. I think AI is a very disruptive technology. I'm not sure if you used it, but I've
I
tested
have.
it out and used it on occasion. And it is pretty powerful in terms of what it can do only on the early iteration that we're seeing today. So when you think down the road, what can AI potentially replace? Well, lawyers writing 400-page briefs. Well, maybe AI can do that. Certainly, customer service, solving solutions. I think AI can do that. Copywriting, perhaps, a basic copywriting, nothing creative. So I think there's always an element of creativity that can't be replaced. But there are a lot of things, whether mathematically inclined, programming, or written, that I think AI down the road will be able to replace and effectively.
Do you think, Philip, the tech sector has become the new defensive play? When I teach women in my program about portfolio management and investing, I always talk about defensives, things like utilities and consumer staples, because they're going to do well regardless of whether there's a recession or not. But a lot of the tech companies, I feel are being seen as necessities now, or maybe a necessary evil.
Well, exactly. And it comes back to, do we lump all technology companies in the same category, or do we be a little bit more discriminating in terms of what they do? To your point, are they defensive? I would argue, yes, they can be seen as defensive. These are blue chip companies. They're not high flyers anymore. I think Microsoft has proven themselves to be entrenched in our world on a day-to-day basis. Likewise, Apple, with how many people have an iPhone or are connected to the Apple
Hmm.
ecosystem in one way or another. Amazon, with how we buy things. So these are companies that for now aren't going to go away. They're still the innovators on many aspects of our evolution in our daily lives.